here for this game between Big versus Alliance. First ban will be coming on the way of Big, and it will be Surf. One of the 3 maps from the LCQ seeding will be completely discarded and going out of the way on the side of Big. Then on the side of Alliance, we will be banning Edge up next. As for the rest of the picks, we'll be following up with a pick that we haven't seen that much as opening maps, Backflip.
Yeah, Backflip will be the first map being picked by Moda here. A map that usually has been the decider, but also Edge and Surf being a ban. Edge was usually one of the decisive maps, and now there you can see it. I already mentioned when we have seen Valley. Valley is a very, like, one of the favorite maps, if not even the favorite map from Big, just being very comfortable on it. And now we also see Tempest as the second pick from Moda and his teammate. So Moda and Soldier are the top seed, so that's why they're able to pick the map first. Alright, let's see. What will the next map be as we're slowly but surely waiting, but teams have 1 minute time to decide what map they're going to pick. But we still have Cosmos, GeForce, Twisted, Dive, and Tubes in there. Cosmos and Twisted being more tech-heavy. GeForce, I would love to see that map. It's very hard to do, and I also think that the world record from Stufts can be beaten on this map. But also Dive. Wow, we have seen great performances there from Pack and also from Hippos on this map so far.
Yeah, indeed. And Dive is also a map that we haven't really seen being played all that much over the course of the World Championship as a whole. As, yeah, it seems to be one of the more left-aside maps in the picks and bans, as GeForce will be the pick from Big side. Now moving on to the third and final salvo of picks for maps 5 and 6. This time it will be Alliance who will be taking their sweet time to ponder the thoughts with basically just the map pack shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Your options for surefire picks are slowly waning out. In the meantime, map 5 picked by Alliance will be Twisted, the map of 1,000 corners, as I like to call it. Very, very tech-heavy map, as we're going to be moving on to our last pick here before the decider gets randomly selected, and it will be on the side of Big to decide which map 6 will be.
Yeah, so Cosmos, Dive, and Tubes still in there. Tubes has been a map actually quite interesting. Had a 40% pick, like if you pick this map, the teams who pick the map wanted 40%. So that is not too much. It will be Cosmos as the penultimate map and Dive the decider. So Tubes is being left out. So we start things off on Backflip. We have seen a new line from Big. Let's see if they're gonna utilize that as well. I'm hyped for this match, and I do think that we will not see a 4-0 in this one. It will be a 4-3 in this way for Berlin International Gaming. What is your prediction, Tom?
I have to concur with that particular assessment. I also think it's going to be a very, very close fight, but ultimately Big having the edge with a 4-3 scoreline.
Yeah, so let's see. As you can see, players warming up. Amaterasu in the background. Also just taking notes or just reading out the notes, the knowledge, which is really important. Those small things can make the difference. So a coach is probably the new meta in Trackmania, and you love to see it. So if a coach is there, he's allowed to be on stage as well. So that is lovely to see. Also that Amaterasu attended this event. A very good friend of mine. Lovely to see him there. Also there you can see the players warming up again. Of course, Granadi with this kind of aggressive steering movement. Warming up, and also let's go with the match starting very soon, Tom.
Yeah, indeed. First map, of course, as we alluded to, will be Backflip. I'm very curious to see if we're going to be seeing that new line from Big here that you've alluded to a little bit earlier on. And yeah, this map is always a little bit of, we call it the fiesta in the Trackmania lingo, because we've had quite our fair share of surprises over the course of this map being played, in particular with the layout that you're about to see on your screen, with one Backflip marking at the end of sector number 1 to give you a little bit of taste of what's to come at the identity, with the absolute chain of backflips that you have to perform and have to get the landing absolutely precise so that you can actually have enough speed to make it through that final jump into the finish line. And yeah, also a speed check section midway through Sector 2 that can also catch a few drivers out, even the best.
Yeah, even the best. It's very important to get that momentum going and not flip out. As we're starting with that first round here between Berlin International Gaming and Alliance, a German-based org versus an organization from Sweden. We can see Soldier also going for the line that Granadi and Massa are going for, and Moda already a bit behind, losing quite a bit of time. Granadi got it really well. World record is a 1:06.65 by Jean-René. So that is also a very good time, but Granadi so far ahead already, as we have to change the camera here, as you can also see the POV from the players. So you have a Cam 3 section. It's very important that you have it in there, as you might be a bit confused if you play it in camera 1 and the camera doesn't swap. Massa with a mistake, also losing the gear. Granadi long gone though, so very good performance so far, but he still has to survive the ending here. Soja and Muda are on 2nd and 3rd, so we could start things off with a draw, but Muda not with a good line there, so Massa can maybe come a bit closer, but Muda didn't lose too much time with that. But Granadi's already on a very good time, still has to survive the identity, looking very good, very low jump there, but not using too much of the booster there, so will be Muda coming closer. Can Muda even overtake Granadi in the ending? No, it will not be enough, but despite this ending, it is a sub 107 from Granadi, so very good time. Insta PB, this could have been so much more, maybe even already a new world record.
Yeah, that is looking very, very promising. Sub 107s indeed, as you alluded to here at the start of this game here, as we're heading into round 2 here on Backflip, going along with Granadi for the start, going for the line, same for Massa, and as well as Soulja, but unfortunately gets a little bit of a clip on the inside edge of the wall, and thus will have his back wheels do the bug slide for him, but that will send him into the ball out on the outside. So Granadi will be out of the running after having won round 1. In the meantime, Massa is at the tail end of the leading group, currently sitting in 3rd and trying to catch up to Muda through this Cam 3 section, through that reactor part, but yeah, lost a little bit of speed at the exit there with that roof scrape section, and so it will be Soulja and Muda, 1st and 2nd for the Alliance, trying to recoup some of the lost points, and not a great landing on the side of Soulja, teetering on the back wheels, then on the front wheels, before finally finding its footing and landing on all 4 wheels again, just like a cat would do on his paws. But a bit of a clip there at the side. Muda again having to play a little bit of the airline pilot. They're managing to save it through the reactor boost part. Muda, Soulja 1st and 2nd through the identity, still with a gap of 2/10 between Soulja and Massa. But look at that line from Massa, looking a lot faster compared to Soulja, dropping down to 3rd. Will be salvaging a point for Big, but Muda winning with a .258. Massa 2nd, Soulja in P3. Big do not come home without anything, but still it will be Alliance taking the lead 3-2.
And this shows the deep game knowledge from Muda, who's coming from a full speed background. I guess we have seen in new line that this left-right steering movement, and with that he was just getting an interesting tilt of his car. Let's see, was it a coincidence or is Muda doing that on purpose? Let's take a look into round number 3. The only player who goes for that hit there, but goes so tight around that corner there, doesn't even sacrifice time, is even ahead of both Massa and Granadi, who went for that line. So you can see why Alliance picked that map. I really want to see how Muda does it. I think this is a new line that has been found there, or like just a small adjustment, but it gained him like 0.2 of a second. But let's see, as both Soulja and Muda having a really good start, Massa is 0.3 behind, so let's follow his POV, as Granadi's also not too far behind here, getting a good entry into the turn there as well. More speed than his teammate, his fellow German colleague, playing for the same team, but International Gaming, of course. But Soulja with a mistake. Let's see Muda's line here. He goes for it, and it's intentional, guys. What a great line from Muda. Look at that, gaining so much time towards his opponents. So Muda with that in the back maybe has a small advantage, but maybe not here in this run. But he gets it all, the booster, and he will win another round. Muda with such a low jump. Look at that, 106.864. The Vampus Master is on a roll and almost overjumped the last part of the identity.
Endrams? What endrams? I didn't even hear that these things even existed, decided to say Muda, as he decided to skip the 2 rows of tiny ramps that you have at the very, very last block and decides to go for a little bit of a board bonk there and with the plank of the car before heading into the finish line, as we're heading in here into round number 4. And it's still a very, very tough affair to call. 4-3 at the end of the 3rd round here on this opening map. Muda, again, the only outlier to go for the traditional way of taking the start, but this time it is not paying off for the Australian Penguin, as he will be falling back down to the back of the field in 4th position. Massa and Granadi have seized control of the lead, although we see Granadi going a lot slower through that slalom section, followed by the reactor, allowing Soulja to slip in into 2nd position and separate the 2 teammates from one another. As we're going through that first backflip section, Massa, Soulja, Granadi in that order. Everybody going to make it through nice and clean. Maybe a little bit of a bounce on the part of the leader, Massa, but not really hampering it on the spot. Only that wide line, trying to carry a little bit more speed, may have looked like an opportunity for Soulja to go through. Muda again going for that airline pilot strap, managing to carry so much speed on the landing, going close to the bumper of Massa, going through the last sector and into the identity round now. They're neck and neck, wheel to wheel almost, heading through the first part of the identity. Massa continuing to hold the lead by the skin of his teeth, and Muda looking very slow, allowing Granadi to move up into 2nd place, and it will be the AAA ace for Team Big with a points 071, still at 107, but what a finish from the Wheelman.
What a great ending there from both Massa and Granadi. Massa holding on onto the lead, but Granadi with a lot of speed securing that ace, and they are going into the lead. It is 6-4, but you have seen the line from Muda as well. So many things have happened, so many impressions at the end, but also Muda didn't have the best start, lost quite a bit, but now it is Massa who has been falling behind in this round here. Oh, as he also didn't get the best amount of speed in this corner, so we lose a lot in this reverse booster section, followed up by a reactor boost wall ride, which is out of plastic, so you don't lose speed, but look at the speed from Soldier and also his teammate Muda. So they're chasing down Granadi, but I really want to see Muda's line again. Is that something that players will utilize in the next days as well on this map, or will this be just something that is just too hard to learn? As I want to focus on that line from Muda again, going for a lower jump, now flicking to the left, going to the right, and getting a small zoom. You can see the speed difference there, catching up to Granadi. It was only quote-unquote 0.1 of a second, but that is enough on this high level of Trackmania. Oh, and also Muda with good speed here. What time will it be? 102.09 checkpoint. Muda with a good jump. Soldier with a respawn, but Muda almost overjumped it there. 5,000s between them. Lost so much time in the ending, but still won the round. But this was way too close to call, but due to the players finishing just on top and on the bottom of each other, it is very hard to just spot that. But Muda still claiming that first position. Soldier not able to finish, so it will be a draw. And Alliance still having 5 points to their name.
Yeah, just 7. Only a 2-point gap to make up for the Alliance versus Berlin International Gaming, who are indeed on a map point, but this is basically a bit of a Hail Mary on this one for Team Big, as they do need an ace in order to conclude that map right from the outset here at the end of this round. So far, Granadi making a good start. A little bit of a bunk there from Soldier, dropping it down to 3rd, and Massa having made a complete holics at the start, dropping down to 4th, and staggering close to 2 seconds down on the splits. And Soldier continuing to be a little bit further back compared to where he would like to be as we're moving through this first sector very, very swiftly, as we see Granadi pulling a gap of 3/10, close to 4/10 ahead of Muda here for the lead, but that's a really bad backflip, costing him so much speed, allowing Muda to slide on through into the lead of the round, potentially allowing the Alliance to bridge the gap back down to that solitary point they need to keep the dream alive right now on that first map. And again, Muda going for that signature line, the airline pilot, as I like to call it. Granadi still continuing to chase him down, a quarter of a second down, heading into the identity right now. Soldier, a little bit offset to the right-hand side of the first particular jump. Now moving on to this final part, Muda, Granadi, and look at Soldier versus Granadi to the line. Not quite enough for Soldier to make the move stick. It will be less than 100 between these two at the line, but it's still a victory for Alliance, who are winding the gap back down to that 1 point. 8-7 for Big.
But still 1 point for Big in this round, but also most importantly for Alliance, they got to the 7-point margin, so that means if they get an ace and both Granadi and Massa, or just by pace, they will get that ace. It is over, and map 1 will go to Alliance. But also Big in need of a victory, so one mistake would be very advantageous for Berlin International Gaming. So the match has heated up, and let's see what the next round here will bring us, as Soldier and Massa didn't get the best start. But so far so good, nothing set in stone. As Soldier gets the gear, Massa didn't get the best amount of speed, but now the first backflip will decide it here. Muda and Granadi on great pace. Massa bumping a little bit. Soldier coming a bit closer though, but Muda is on a great time. We could maybe see a new world record if Muda sticks it here in the ending and goes for his line again. Will he make it? Yes, he will. But actually gets a really good zoom there, so that's why he goes for it, because of that tilted landing. He gets a zoom, so gaining a bit of time, not too much in this round, but still enough to extend his lead. And let's see, can Granadi overtake? Yes, he can. What a beautiful identity from the wheelman from Germany, and he will win the round. Soldier is on 3rd, Massa on 4th, and great times here as well, 106.92, followed up by a 107 low. And then Soldier only a couple of hundreds behind. Only Massa, after that small bump, really losing out on a little bit of time there.
Being enabled by Granadi to maintain the status quo. Still a single point of a lead for the German Norg in favor of them versus the Alliance here on what could potentially be the final round or overtime round, depending on how you look at it. This is going to be all down to the hands of both Soldier and Muda right now to make that overtime scenario a reality for the first time of this weekend and at this World Championship final stage. And already, Granadi making the job a lot easier for the Alliance, having completely messed up the start. Currently it is going to be Masa, Soldier and Mara regrouped within less than 600ths of a second, heading into the next part. The first backflip of the map, all three almost wheel to wheel, going 3 wide before funneling down into the checkpoint. Mara managing to retake the lead. Masa looking a little bit slow on that long wide left-hander just before the speed check. Thus will be shuffled back down to 3rd place, and this time Mara not having as much airtime as Mara, but still looking pretty solid indeed for that 2nd position. Masa continuing to try and hunt Soldier and Mara down, trying to find a window of opportunity to attack. Soldier looking a little bit slow, but Masa is even slower on the landing on the first jump. Mara, Soldier, 1st and 2nd. They conclude on an AA ace with a .771 on the side of Mara, less than a 10th away from the current record, or over a 10th away from the world record. And just like that, they flip the gap in favor of themselves, Alliance. 11-9 at the end of map 1. Team Blue takes map 1.
Moda and Soldier both with a PB on that last round. Masa needed a 2nd position to force overtime and the first one to win this map for Big. Granadi, with that unfortunate mistake at the start, didn't play a role in this round, and there you go. Map 1 and also pick number 1 from Alliance in their bag. And now we're gonna go to the next map, which is Valley. As I said, always a very comfortable pick for Berlin International Gaming. We have seen a new world record from Carl Jr. here, a 107.916 in that last round, where Carl Jr. and Pack were just winning against Split with an ace. So let's see how this will go for them. Good luck, have fun, and the race is starting. Big already has to win this round or this map, else it will look grim for them.
It would look very, very grim for them as we're getting started here with round number 1, following the perspective of Granadi right now, as we see Masa going a little bit further on the inside here on that first hairpin, thus dipping his wheels a little bit into the sand. Everybody still regrouped within a 10th from 1st to 4th as we're heading through the reactor boost part. Before the jump, conditioning your exit is very, very important there. Soldier going all over the barrier and going very, very high. A bit more of a conservative approach, I guess, from the side of Soldier. That will still see him slot in the 2nd position and barely grazing the wall. The bonk from Granadi will send him off track and completely out of contention for the big places here in this round, no pun intended. Masa, Soldier 1st and 2nd. Mara a little bit further behind in 3rd place, about a 10th of a second away from the leader, heading into sector number 3 here. The jump, setting yourself up for the tight buck slide right there. Everybody making it through nice and clean, no touches of the wall, and all 3 regroup within the same ghost almost before the identity. First jump through the first goalpost. Mara going a little bit too tight and thus hitting the side of the goalpost. Will be forced to respawn, promoting Granadi up into 3rd. Masa still holding the lead. Soldier in 2nd position. Let's see how the finish will be looking. It looks way too grim for Masa, doing the same as Mara a little bit earlier on, this time on the 2nd goalpost. Soldier wins ahead of Granadi in 2nd. Mara will make it a victory, or will he? The answer is a no, with Masa coming back with a snipe at the very last corner to get the draw on .367 on the side of Soldier for the game-winning round time, but ultimately, quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, quite a bit of damage that could have been done there, but it's just a 1-to-1 eventually. So Alliance and Big just forcing so many, denying so many aces. Also after those mistakes now, also one mistake that has happened here, but also great pace from them as Soldier jumps very far in there. Muda with a wider approach, barely not holding the gear, so he drops into 3rd, and Soldier extends his lead. Masa and Granadi both are a bit behind. Granadi, after that small mistake in the start, finding himself roughly 0.8 of a second behind, almost 1 second. This look is looking really promising for Alliance of taking that ace, but we have seen mistakes in the identity. It's such a fine alignment that you have to do beforehand, and also this bug side has to be adjusted very, very carefully, else you just go into the wall or you go too wide. But I mean, if you go too wide, you have good speed for that jump. So Soldier in the lead, it is Moda behind, barely not hitting the gate there, and it is Granadi and Masa both promoting 1 position. Granadi up to 2nd, Masa up to 3rd, still respawning, but Moda's not there, and also Soldier going for a lot of speed and winning the round, a .65. So a bit shaky start here on this map. A lot of mistakes have happened, but it's still 2-2, so nothing has happened. The match will start in round number 3.
Yeah, and it's the exact same running order that we had at the end of round 1 as well. So a little bit of troubled times trying to find themselves their footing on this 2nd map of the game here as we're moving on to the start of round number 3. Still all to play for, 2-2 at the end of round 2. Moving on to round 3 now from the perspective of Soldier from the Alliance, managing to make through the first corner nice and clean, just like the rest of the field. Granadi being shuffled to the back of the field just before the jump into the platform. platform, heading into the reactor boost section before the jump over there. Going over the barriers there, Soldier continuing to go head-to-head with Granadi for third place. Currently, Masa and Sector 1 will be leading and trying to pull a gap of 2/10 compared to the battle for second place, raging between Mora, Soldier, and Granadi. A little bit of a hit on the inside there on the side of one of the Alliance players, allowing him to get a little bit of a tighter turn radius, but so far, it is still Mora second, and Granadi managing to get the move done on Soldier for third place, and now having his eyes on the bigger prize, trying to go for the ace, trying to depose Mora of that second position, but Soldier is also trying to come back at the German. Moving on to the final part, the identity right now. Masa, Granadi in that order, and already a rift being created between top two and bottom two, but as I say that, Masa misses the first gate outright and is forced to respawn, promoting Granadi into the lead, trying to guarantee another draw going the way of Team Big, and Mora through the second gate, looking increasingly close to hit it, but he makes it through just fine. Soldier trying to make a last-ditch effort to overtake Granadi at the final corner. No mas. 3-1-4 at the end of the round here for the time for Granadi, and it's another draw. 3-3 at the end of round 3.
3-3. 3 draws in a row. Nothing has happened so far. So despite this being Big's pick, they are looking to make some mistakes, but maybe they just find themselves in a new atmosphere and just trying to just get used to that, as they know they have to perform on this map after barely losing out on that first map here against Alliance. But now we see Muda and Soldier actually, you know, with slight different lines there, but that's the beauty of this map. But Master just has it out very well. He's 0.1 ahead of his teammate Granadi, who gets a really good backside. Muda with a quite wide approach, going for a lot of speed, but look at that, it's neck and neck between all the players. Master still leading, but Muda with more speed. The alignment here will be very important. Muda with a very inside approach, bumping a little bit, so he loses a bit of speed in exchange. As you can see, he demotes to almost last position, but look at that fight here between them. Soldier with a clip will lose it all speed, will get penalized, and it is Granadi and Masa now leading. What a back and forth in this round, but only Muda is 0.06 behind. Good line, very wide, will have a lot of speed, and also a very good entry into this booster here before the last section of the map. However, Granadi and Masa are still ahead. They could get that ace. Granadi so close there to the gate. Muda with more speed. Muda can snipe it, but it's not enough. It is the ace. 4,000s between the first and second, and Muda 500s away. It's the ace for Big, finally going into the lead and redeeming their map pick.
Yeah, finally, one of the two teams managed to make a little bit of a breakaway run at the end of that round, and the tandem of Masa and Granadi finishing together, separated by just 4,000ths of a second, is a beautiful image to see. And Muda trying to play a little bit of a troublemaker role in that round, ultimately came short for 46 extra thousandths of a second as we're moving through our next round now, following the perspective of the Australian player from the Alliance. Muda going very, very low at the exit of that jump, concluding the first sector, will be leading at the split ahead of his teammate. Granadi and Masa third and fourth. Everybody regrouped within 1 singular tenth of a second, heading into the reactor boost part. Through the fragile we go, resetting your wheels through the second sector. Now heading into the jump through the ring, CP. Setting yourself up for the long left-hander. This time, Muda going for the more classical outside approach to get yourself with a better setup for later apex through that long left-hander. Now onto the box slide. Muda managing to come away with the lead. Masa and Granadi second and third. Soldier, having made a mistake a little bit beforehand, will be 3 seconds down. In the meantime, Muda still continuing to hold a steadfast lead of 4/10 of a second. Heading into the identity. Granadi trying to go for a bold move, trying to catch back up the time, but he ends up losing it with a compromised entry into the chicane before the second jump. Masa continuing to hold a steady first place. Oh, Muda going way too wide. Took a lot of risk with that wide approach, allowing Granadi and Masa to grain that gap back in, but ultimately the Australian still wins it. It is another draw, but it is a draw that will put Big onto map point.
Yeah, Muda beating his PB by 2/10 of a second, and if he had a better ending, he would have beaten that former set world record from Carl Jr. in the previous match. So great time there for Muda, but it wasn't enough to get a victory or an ace in this round. So we have Big in the lead, and as you said, it is the track point, so if they get an ace, they will win this map, and it is 1-1 going into the third map then after that. Masa with a great start here by the looks of it, finding himself in the lead. Muda not too far behind though, getting a very good bug set. I think that was a car from Big sliding out there. It is Masa with a small mistake. So he is almost a second behind, and now Muda and Soldier with the dream scenario. It could be 7-7, also due to Granadi's small mistake there. Steering a bit too early, losing a lot of speed, and it is Muda and Soldier hand in hand, just having to survive the identity. But it's easier said than done. One respawn could end in a disaster for Alliance, but still, let's see if they can survive it. Muda with a good line. Good release there as well from him, and they still find themselves in the lead. Will it be enough to survive here? Looking good. Soldier so close to the left there, but was able to survive, and the Lions will equalize the scoreline again. After round 6, the scoreline is 7-7. Good time from Soldier as well, a 108.13, performing when it matters, and now both teams are on track point.
Yeah, both teams on track point. Alliance evening the scales. You were mentioning 108.1 from Soldier on the previous round. The round before, we saw Mara do 108.054. So yeah, they do have the pace that was within them, but it took far too many rounds of adjustment for a team of this caliber to really get themselves dialed in. So it's going to be up to them to pick up the slack and try to get their winning form back on song as we're making our way through this round right now. It's Granati leading at the end of the first sector, and Masa making the job a lot easier for the Alliance right now with that double bunk, emulating a little bit of a pinball machine impression there on the side of Masa. Thus, he will be out of contention for the big points. Granati and Moda, first and second. Soldier a little bit further behind in P4. Granati going way too wide, taking a bit too much penalty sound, but Moda going also quite far out wide at the exit of that long left-hander, managing to retain the lead, but only just. And now Soldier looking to show his teeth and trying to make an attack stick on Granati. So far, so good. Heading into the identity, the first gate, pass clean for the top 3, and it's still all to play for. Less than a tenth between first and third right now, with Granati still looking to try and make a master stroke move. Not quite the master stroke move here on the part of Soldier, messing up the chicane alignment. Granati, Moda forced to respawn. It will be Granati winning the round ahead of Soldier, it looks like, with Masa in P3, allowing Big to take the lead. That was textbook inting. Textbook inting on the side of Alliance there, with that unfortunate mishap for both Mara and Soldier at the identity.
That was very unfortunate there for Alliance. Not only did they throw away the track points and could have won could have gone into the lead by 2 points already, but Big now is ahead and they only need of a draw, so 1 first position is enough. And also Masa getting 3rd position, so those small individual fights decided, and 1 point in the end, or like just in the end game of a map in the last couple of rounds. It's just insane how much that can snowball. Muda now with a good buck set there. Masa, however, so far in the lead, and he can just win this map here by himself in this round. He doesn't need to rely on Granati, who had a quite awkward line in this section, but was still able to stick it through, and also now makes it, maybe wants to not steer that much during the exit of the turn, but now Masa with a mistake. Now all of a sudden Big has to pull the trigger, and they need to get at least a 2nd position. Soldier and Muda can force overtime. Granati with a very good line. Let's focus on that last identity here. It could be the last one of this match. Granati with a good line. Muda jumping so wide there, will have a lot of speed. Granati will go into the lead here by the looks of it. Will Granati make it? It will be going to overtime. So close. It's 10-10. The first time that we're gonna see it, but Granati not being able to overtake Soldier there. But also look at the times. 108.08 from Soldier. Very good time there from the Belgian player.
Yeah, indeed. Soldier posting in 0.08 and 0.1 being driven by Granati on that very same round. The first overtime here of this final stage of the World Championship is underway. In case one of the 2 teams end up having a numerical advantage in terms of the points, it will be game over on this map, and it will be going either way of Alliance or Big, depending on which team takes the lead. So far, first sector, Granati taking a clear lead of a tenth and a half ahead of his teammate Masa, battling for 2nd position. Now the battle is a little bit more with his teammates, intra-team battle for the lead of the round overall, but they've got to be wary of Mara, trying to spring a little bit of a surprise or 2 here through that end of the 2nd sector and the start of the 3rd and final sector. Granati again going way out wide, touching a little bit of penalty sand on the way into that corner, but makes it work really beautifully so far as we make our way through this 3rd sector. Through the box line we go, and it will be Soldier and Muda making the best absolute exit on this side, taking away the reins of the round, but it's still all to play for with just 1 jump and 1 corner left to go. Masa trying to mix it up with the big boys up front. Muda having pulled a gap of around a 10th through the last gate, and it's going to be a missed gate for Big that will seal the fate unless Granati can pull something out of the nether. It will not be the case, and look at the high five on the side of both Muda and Soldier. 12-11. First overtime was it for the Alliance, who continue to lead 2-0.
Oh, what a battle. It was such a back and forth in most of the rounds, and Alliance wins 12-11 on Big's first pick. They were very comfortable on Valley, but this time they got cracked. So Alliance will go into the lead. It's 2-0. So, wow, this is just incredible. So great performance from Soldier and Moda there. So there you go. We go to map number 3. So it is Tempest, and we also have a short pause coming into play, as it might have come from Big, maybe a tactical break. Just Ama saying, listen, you know, you have to focus. you have to just stick to the game plan. And also on Tempest, they can surely make something happen.
Yeah, they can surely make something happen, but just a quick little debrief during this time out of the first two maps. It kind of follows the trend that we were kind of expecting from that match, where it basically all the way was nip and tuck all the way through the two maps until the last round, where ultimately Alliance managed to switch on at the last second to actually make the rounds count, as you get a little bit of a preview here of Tempest that you've already seen before, of course, on the previous match between Solary versus Split. It will be very interesting to see how the two teams get on with this one.
Yeah, definitely. Alliance pick, Alliance's second pick, and Big has to perform. They did a very good match against formerly known Robbers, now Split on this map, if I recall that correctly from the top of my head. And also here we have a world record from Stufts, but we have seen also a lot of good times on this map here already. So I'm looking forward to that pack being just a couple of hundreds away from that 200s in the match that took place beforehand. And let's jump into the first round. Very important map here for Berlin International game, but also for Alliance. They could extend the lead and could be up 3-0 and then are only one map win away from just knocking Massa and Gennady down into the lower bracket. So let's see. Let's go into the first round and see what Soldier and Muda can do, because they have the best start. Gennady with a good line though, and he's coming closer. Look at that. It's 19,000s between all four players approaching the ice section, which is crucial to get, not losing the gear and also not sliding out there accordingly, as well as it is still a 3-horse battle for first. Soldier with a first small mistake, so Massa and Gennady can maybe get themselves a head start if they can crack Muda, but it seems like Massa didn't have the best turnaround, has to play the safe cards here, so now he needs to rely on his teammate Gennady if they want to go into the lead. Oh, but Muda with a good jump there. Gennady will also have a good amount of speed. It's one carding between them, 500ths of a second. Gennady with a good jump, but Muda will stay ahead, and we're gonna start things off with a draw here, because no one respawned in the identity, and also a .40 to start things off. Only 1800s away from the world record, or from the online world record, I surely think, and I've also seen that players have faster times offline.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see if that mark from Stove still stays at the end of the day, or if it will last a little bit longer throughout the weekend, as we are getting underway with round 2. And yeah, difference of approaches between Mara and Gennady, where Gennady tried to go for a bit more longitudinal speed through that first part of the identity double spin, whereas Mara tried to go for a bit more of a direct line and tried to go for a late fall and late apex at the fall, which ultimately benefited the Australian, as Gennady overextended at the landing, forcing him to travel a little bit more time, thus costing a little bit more distance, thus costing more time. In the meantime, first jump spin marking the end of the first sector, and it looks as though everybody's still in the race, although Massa getting a little bit left behind, around half a second behind the top 3 group, being currently led off by Gennady and Soldier, with Muda and Hot Pursuit just behind, starting sector 3 with the entry into the ice light section on turn 6 through this long right-hander before getting a little bit of a flick to set yourself up for the reverse section, and be careful of your timing on the throttle. We've seen Razi come so close to not making the trigger on the checkpoint there. First part of the identity jump spins. Gennady will be forced to respawn, as it looks as though Massa has made it, albeit somewhat slowly. Muda and Soldier first and second, looking to have this round under lock and key and validate their first ace here on this map with a time of a 108.492, about 2/10 ahead of his teammate Soldier, and it will be Alliance making the break. 4-1 on the end of round 2.
Consistency is key, and it seems like Gennady now with a mistake in this round. So ace for Alliance, and we have Muda with another .4 here. So very nicely done. And let's see what round 3 will bring us. Alliance looking strong here to win this first match of the day for them, and also the last one, because every team will only play one match today, and the others, or like the group or the bracket, will conclude tomorrow. But already very important to win this one, because if you win it, you're guaranteed top 2 in your group. So you are guaranteed to make it into the top 6. But of course you want to take that first seat, because then, I mean, yeah, in this way, top 4 you will have guaranteed if you get first seat. That's what I wanted to say. All right, but let's focus on this round, because it is Muda sliding out there. Perfect timing to go into that one, and Soldier is on second place. Massa overtaking, so they can come a bit closer there. It could be a 2-point discrepancy if the positions will stay as is. But it's too early to say, because the identity is very precise. It's like, maybe if you guys played it as well, it is not that easy to do. Gennady with a good amount of speed. Soldier is pushing, and he will overtake. What a great line from the Belgian player there, just gaining so much there. Gennady maybe playing a bit too safe there, but also maybe he was like, okay, I don't have to risk it. Has a bit more speed in the ending, but it will not be enough. 17 thousandths of a second. What a good identity there from Soldier.
Yeah, great identity. Great first jump again. Going for the absolute lowest line possible this time. A bit more of an all-around curve and not really offset that much to, so that the exit is a lot closer to the wall than it first appears to be. Soulja managing to get this one down to a T. Ultimately, Granadi managing to catch back up a little bit in the second jump, especially on the subsequent section with a much better landing, but not enough to dislodge Soulja from the lead of that round, and thus a draw ensued. In the meantime, on to our next round. Mudda leading into the wall ride and the jump there with the landing that is also very important there. Before that banked double right-hander, a little bit of a clip from Granadi at the hole there. I was a little bit mistaken by one of the cars, and that's going to be a very difficult first jump on the side of Granadi. Touching the checkpoint, will be forced to double respawn, and that will leave Massa all on his own to try and salvage something from the situation, but it looks as though it cannot really be salvaged at this point in time anyway, as Soulja and Mudda look to be looking pretty confident and pretty consistent in their lines they're able to pull off right now, whereas Massa through the ice side was looking a little bit shaky here on that particular round. Soulja and Mudda hand in hand, tandeming this together through the first jump spin of the identity, going for very low lines, a bit more extending compared to what we saw a few rounds earlier on the side of Mudda. Now onto the second jump spin, going a little bit higher this time on the side of Soulja, it must be said, as we're heading for another ace on the side of the Alliance with a 0.532, somewhat more conservative round times, but still, it will be enough to guarantee the ace that will send Alliance onto map point number 3, 8-2.
Very solid round there from Alliance. Again, playing consistent, not driving 0.2s, 0.3s, just going to that 0.4, 0.5, 0.6 range. And this is enough to crack big on Tempest. And let's see, will this be the last round? That's 8-2. Big has to act. They need to preferably get an ace in two of those rounds, kind of. Else it will be over very soon for them, and we could already then jump to the last map in the series, but let's first take a look here. Will this be the case or not? Because Soulja and Mudda have to get first and third position. Soulja again with a very good pre-identity there, just gaining a lot of time towards Massa, who still fights himself the lead, doesn't hit the flag. They were so close towards that, but it was enough for him to survive around that corner. Granadi fell a bit further behind, also struggling to find the best speed in this corner, and Massa still leading the round. He can deny Alliance the map victory here, but it's too early to say because Mudda had a very good turnaround. Also went for a different line, went a bit wider there, and also has a wider setup here and jumps so close over the first identity there, going into the lead. Massa is on second place. He needs first position though. Soulja with a good line. Massa is not in there, and it will be map number 3, also going to Alliance, also with an ace. Wow, what a consistent and solid performance from Alliance. It is 11-2, and we go to map number 4. It could be the last one, Geek. I thought it would be a 4-3 for Big. They have to win 4 consecutive maps in a row to make that happen.
About that thought, you and I both, we really figured that it would be a lot closer match than it first appeared. And yeah, that's a third consecutive map indeed with a score of 11-2. That is nothing to scoff at. That's almost a 10-point gap between the two teams at the end of that particular map, which is nothing short of amazing. The only way you can top that is with a 12-0, of course, in the meantime. But yeah, this is going to be quite insane to see what both teams are going to be up to on GeForce. And right now, this is checkers or wreckers, as we say, for Big, as they have to pull 3 back-to-back victories to force this onto Game 7.
Yeah, this is my favorite map, together with Twisted, that we would see after that if Berlin International Gaming wins on that one. So let's see what they can do here. A lot of things, a lot of potential on this map. World record is a 1:11.994 by Jan TM, who played for Gravity Pivo together with his teammate Henken, who made it all the way to the middle stage event of this year's World Championship.
As part of Team Gravity along with Marsley.
Yeah. So a very good performance. Also Marcy with a very good performance as well. Played alongside with
Jan.
With Jan, exactly. Yeah, Jan and Marcy, yeah. No, Jan and... yeah, true. Never mind. Anyways, let's jump into the next round and see what will be happening here as Granadi gets a really good start. Massa on second place. Soulja is on third. Mudda with a first mistake, and this is Big's second pick, so this doesn't look too bad for them in the first round. This is very important to not wobble too much, as Massa was clipping a little bit, but not losing too much time. You can sacrifice that with going very, very close there to the wall, and Soulja finding himself on second place. Now, let's take a look. Can they beat the checkpoint from Stufts here? It was a 0.40 by the looks of it. It is a 0.361, so Granadi already on good pace. This time could already be in danger if I can see it correctly. Also, this identity takes roughly 10 seconds, so Granadi already on 1:12 low pace, maybe even a 1:11, and it will also be the ace due to the start from Massa that wasn't that good. It is Granadi getting first and Massa second, and it's the ace.
Yeah,
112.035 from Granadi.
112.035 from Granadi, and yeah, earliest mistake was at the end of Sector 1 from Mutta, where he went a little bit too wide at the exit of the bug-slide section following the bobsleigh, which ultimately sent him on a collision course with the outside girder, marking the end of the first sector. So that was why the Australian was out of contention fairly early on, and ultimately Solja as well, losing a lot in the last sector, allowing Massa to move back up into second place after a little bit of a rocky start. Moving on to round 2. This time, Massa will once again be shuffled at the back of the pack through the first sector in P4. He stands currently the top 3, separated by 81 thousandths of a second, with Granadi, Solja, and Mutta trading positions left, right, and center, checkpoint after checkpoint, heading into this tight 90 right-hander, following along with Massa before the bobsleigh hairpin. Let's see who is going to be wobbling a little bit too much, and we see Mutta not even clipping, but outright exiting the bobsleigh part, going very wide there. Solja at the exit of the bugslide, trying to carry a bit more speed on the way out of said bugslide to continue holding on to that second position to bring at the very least a point for Team Alliance. But Massa is also looking very, very racy at this point. He's going to make an attack more than likely happen on the second place of Solja at the first wall ride right there. On the side of Granadi, we're on the 112.1 again. It looks as though Solja has messed up the exit from the first wall ride. Indeed, he's forced to respawn, and that's another ace going the way of Big, trying to make the most of their map picks. Back-to-back aces and a 111.911. Sorry, I got my numbers mixed up, but yeah, 0.911. 6/10 ahead of Massa, and 6-0 for Big.
The first of many world records that we're gonna see on this map. Potentially Big with a good performance so far. And I think we both actually messed up the teammate there. It was Better Toast and not Hankin or Marsley. So, well, you know, you can sometimes mix that around. So this can, of course, happen as we jump into round number 3. It is Solja and Mutta who are having to act here, and they have to preferably get that ace. Big can play the safe cards, even a first position, and the one or another round would be good, but they should not fall behind too much, but they can't capitalize from draws. So it is Granadi a bit further behind, so the winner of the last 2 previous rounds, setting good times 1:11 high and the 1:12 low respectively, now is behind by 0.35 of a second, but we can follow him to see his dirt zoop approach, but it doesn't work out. It doesn't zoop him because he had an awkward line, a conservative line before that. So it is Solja and Mutta on first and second right now, but Massa still with a lot of speed. Mutta sliding out, hitting the wall, having to respawn, and Solja also has a little bit less speed than Massa, who went for a quite different line in this corner there. So let's take a look. What will Massa do? Flicking out a lot to the left. They will jump low and will have a bit more speed. But also Solja with a different line there has also good speed, but it will be the draw unless Solja will not make the ending. But there you go. It is a 1-2-3, well, a 1-2-2-3-4 time. Man, it was almost perfect for that, but there you go. It is Solja winning the round and getting Alliance the first point.
0.234 and then a 0.468 from Massa right behind them, as they were separated by the exact same amount of thousandths of a second, as Big is indeed on map point. Their first map points, well, second attempt at their first map point here in this particular game, as they were, of course, on map point in the opening map that was Backflip before the script has been somewhat flipped, courtesy of Alliance, as we're making our way through this round right now. Through the bobsleigh we go, following the perspective of Mutta through the first sector, and he will be exiting from that bugslide in the lead at the split. We see Masang Solja in second and third place. Granadi also in hot pursuit in P4. Top 4 separated by about 0.2 of a second, give or take. Making our way through to the bobsleigh part. Mutta leading ahead of Solja, Massa, Granadi in that order. Everybody making it through pretty neat and tidy. Nice and tidy bugslide on the side of Solja, not so much on the side of Granadi, hitting with the rear left the side of the checkpoint. So it will be Solja, Mutta first and second. Let's see if Mutta can right the wrongs of the previous rounds, avoid contact with the walls, and let's hope for the Alliance that the finish will be properly mitigated as we're making our way through the first roll right. So far, so good. Up until this point where Solja touches with the left side, the top of the wall, but Massa completely messes up the jump, forcing himself to respawn. Granadi coming in to save the day for Big and bring a point home at the very least. 112.072 for Mutta, who wins ahead of Granadi, sniping Solja at the line, courtesy of that somewhat slow jump on the side of the Belgian. It's still Big leading by 5 points, though, 8-3.
such an important point there for Big, because an ace really gives you a lot, and it would have been 4-7, and now it's 3-8 instead. So 1 point in this kind of point range is a lot for Big, and with that they find themselves closer and closer to that first track point, or that first track being locked in for them. But it's too early to say, because Alliance has the potential. There was also a good time for Muda there on their previous round. As you can see here, did a 1:12.072. It is his match PB. Now didn't get the best start, but still has good speed compared to Granadi, and goes for the attack, but still he finds himself a bit further behind. Now jumping into the first or second crucial section after the start, we have this entry into the bobsleigh, that how you have to exit with a dirt slide, and then you can tap the brake to get some more speed. And it is Soulja still leading. Muda with a very good approach, finding himself on that battle for second place. Good amount of speed accumulated there as well. You don't want to gear up into fourth gear, and Muda is still sticking towards Granadi, who's not that far behind. Had a good ending section though, but also Muda with a good approach in this corner. Soulja losing out on a lot of speed. Granadi going to the lead. Muda with a low jump here. Will this be enough to overtake Granadi? And also Massa is not too far behind. Let's follow his POV. Can he overtake? No, he cannot. Granadi will stay ahead, and it's only 0.03 of a second, 0.3 of a second between them, as Granadi gets first, and that is another point for Big. 1 point away from their first map win.
Alliance managed to extract yet another round from this one, but how many more can they extract? Is this the furthest that they can go before they have to resort onto their next map pick, which will be happening next? We'll have to see if this round will give us a little bit of a clue as to the answer. So far, first clue is that Granadi is getting a really solid start through the bobsleigh. Heading into the first sector checkpoint, it will be Granadi Massa first and second, with Muda slipping through into the lead as well, but it's top and bottom right now for Alliance at the end of that first sector split, a 10.5 apart. Moving on to this 90 right-hander with that little outside dirt wall approach. Now onto the bobsleigh, Muda taking the lead. Massa, Granadi, Soulja still battling tooth and nail, and it's going to be a very heavy clip with the full right side of the car on the side of Granadi. Massa looking a little bit slow on the exit of the buck slide. Muda trying to capitalize on that, looking a little bit slow just before the drop down. Massa still selling himself in the place where he needs to be in first and second. A little bit of a better exit on the side of Muda to allow himself to move past Massa for second position. But watch out, this has been the real Achilles heel for Alliance so far. This particular wall ride section, Massa doesn't have the best of lines either in the jump. It's looking to be very close, and it looks as though Alliance might have made the ace stick to extract yet another round, despite a bit of a slow exit from the final wall ride from Muda with a 0.121, 166 thousandths ahead of his teammate. Alliance are still alive and are also on map point, and most importantly, match point.
Oh, that was beautifully synced there, Tom. That was awesome. 7-9 it is. Every outcome results into a map winner, or in this case also match winner, if Alliance can replicate that performance from the previous round. Granadi with a slower start, gets a lot of the booster though, minimized airtime accordingly, but you can see the speed deficit compared to his opponents and also his teammate Massa, as he's 0.2 behind Muda, who's the leader of this race. Very good performance from Alliance, and this could be over just after this round. A 4-0 is definitely not what anyone has expected just before that match, but it seems like Muda will make it happen, and also Soulja with a great performance. But Massa comes back. He needs to get second place. It is do or die. Granadi too far behind to have a saying. Oh, Soulja going so risky, so close to every corner to squeeze out that extra kilometer per hour. And also Muda is on a new world record. Just by the way, what I wanted to mention here, but most importantly, it could be the match win here if Soulja gets that ending across, but this wasn't the best line from him. Will have more speed than Massa, but I don't think it will be enough. Muda also sacrificed a lot of speed, and this is map number 1 being done for Berlin International Gaming. Soulja not with good amount of speed in the ending. Massa staying behind Muda, and it is Muda also with a sub 112 time, so good job from him, but this wasn't enough for him. So it is still a match. It's 3-1.
It was a close call and a half, if I do say so myself, given the fact that Alliance managed to claw the gap back down to just those 2 points and could well have pulled exactly the same feat that they have pulled off on map 1, Backflip, where they managed to flip a 2-point gap to a 1-point lead, or a 1-point gap to a 2-point lead, in this case in map 1, and they could have been repeating the same history to get a clean 4-0 victory, but ultimately it isn't the case, and we go onto the map of the 1,000 corners. It is Tour de Course Trackmania edition with Twisted.
Twisted. Such a nice map. I really like to see that. Also how Paco played on this map, who got 9th with his teammate. They weren't able to make it. They lost against formerly known Robbers, now Split of course. And well, I mean, it's Alliance last pick out of the series. And after that, we would go to Big's last pick. But let's see what the players can do. Good luck, have fun to them as we are starting. Massa and Granadi, they have to act. I don't think, and that's what I'm saying now, and this also applies for the weekend, I don't think that the world record from Paco will get beaten.
I don't think so either.
First round, it is Massa going to beat it. Hello.
Hello. We'll have to wait and see because, yeah, round 1 underway. We're going through this very, very high-speed section at the end of the first sector. And the first of 2 very heavy zones. Hard on the anchors before setting yourself up for the hairpin, setting yourself up for the chicane right there. The first very twisty section that changes from negative camber to positive camber back onto the banking. Here it is going to be Moda and Massa who are going to be left a little bit in the dust in the meantime through this middle section. Then this triple apex right-hander going for the mid-apex, trying to widen the exit as soon as possible on the side of Granadi, but he messes up the jump behind it, allowing Soldier and Moda to move up into first and second. High-speed drift before once again hard on the brakes to slow yourself down for this particular hairpin, the start of the final, very twisty section. And watch out for that final left-hander, which can be deceptively blind with this approach. And we've seen plenty of people get washed out wide and close to the wall. And Soldier managing to pull off an incredible snipe for 60 thousandths ahead with a godlike final corner. 0.002, 60 thousandths ahead of Granadi, 91 thousandths ahead of Moda. Victory for Alliance.
Yeah, very good time there from Soldier, from the 26-year-old from Belgium. Coming from a tech background, and this is also a very tech-heavy track, as you can see there, with a small full-speed section also being incorporated, as well as here and also in the ending. So good performance there from Alliance, but also 1 point being secured for Berlin International Gaming. So let's see Granadi, who has a PB that is 1,000 slower from the time that was set by Soldier in the round beforehand. All right. Good line here from Soldier, tapping the brake to get around that corner accordingly and just having a better angle and traveling more distance as he is extending his lead. Moda not with a best of starts, as well as Massa both having to readjust in one or another of the corners. But it looks like it will be a fight between Soldier and Granadi. 0.28 checkpoints. Paco had a 0.9. So that is just a good reference point for me as well. But you can get a very good flick here on that last identity drift. Maybe Granadi will go for that. No, he will not. Soldier almost got it there. He set himself, then you set yourself up nicer on the right side for that penultimate drift. But look at that. Granadi crumbling in the end, and Soldier and Moda will get the ace. This is looking not good for Big, as the lead is already 4 points for Alliance.
Yeah, judging by the first 2 rounds, the outcome and outlook for the remaining rounds here on Twisted is looking pretty grim indeed on the side of Berlin International Gaming, unless they are able to turn up the heat a little bit and try to bring the fight to the Alliance. Heading into this next round right now, round 3 underway, going through the high-speed section there. Massa taking over the lead by about a 10th of a second through the split. Moda and Soldier second and third through the wall ride. Granadi in P4, heading into the first hairpin before this first twisty section. First negative camber up there, and then falls back down, and now back onto the banking right there. Granadi a little bit too out wide here on the chicane with a bit of a compromised line. Soldier as well this time, not looking so hot on paper compared to where he was in the first 2 rounds, and it's Massa Moda first and second. Those who were hanging at the back of the field have now been shuffled to the front of the field thanks to the various trials and tribulations from the other competitors. Moda and Massa wheel to wheel, heading into the final part. The identity with the braking for the hairpins, followed by that second consecutive hairpin. The snake run has begun here on this final part. A little bit of 2-wheel time there on the part of Massa going through the final corner on the side of both Moda and Massa. Barely a wall clip on the side of the German that will allow Granadi to move up into second, and more importantly, Moda to retain the lead and score a 103.982, allowing the status quo to remain, and still a 4-point lead for Alliance, who are getting closer and closer to match point attempt number 2.
So Big not coming closer with that round. They are just, the gap stays the same, and most importantly, as you mentioned correctly, Alliance now only 4 points away from match point. This can go very fast, but now Granadi and Massa, the star that they were searching in the last 2-3 rounds. As you can see, they are ahead, but Moda and Soldier definitely not slowing down, as Massa and Granadi, the gap is shrinking again, and Moda and Soldier can come closer again, but look at that, still 0.1 of a second. Let's approach the last part of the track, which is not easy to do, especially the identity, but that's why we also love to see it. You can push it so much, and that's why it's not, like, it looks easy, but due to the difficulty, like you can push so much, it is very hard to do because he can lose so much time that we have seen in the last rounds. And look at that, Massa leading the round. Muda and Soldier, however, can just deny the victory or ace towards Villain International Gaming. Granati with a good ending though, but it will not be enough. Massa will set a point 89, but only 1 point for Big due to Granati's last position.
Great time on the part of Masai, must be said. .897 is still nothing to scoff at this level of competition. Now, Alliance. Map point attempt 2, Electric Boogaloo. Here we go then for this round on the side of Alliance, who do need an ace to pull it up, but they've pulled it up beforehand as early as round 2 here on this map. So we're going to have to see if they're able to replicate this feat as we're moving through the full speed section onto the first sector split. Massa Granati tandeming this together, 12 thousandths apart in the first split. Mada and Soldier, third and fourth, reconvening together before the first hairpin and the start of the first of 2 snake runs here in this particular map. Granati still holding the lead, but once again for Mada and Soldier managing to hug the apex wall on the inside to move up into first and second place respectively. Granati still in Hoppers in third place. Mada with a bit better exit speed, does not get the proper setup, managing to... How did he manage to avoid hitting the wall on the outside with the left rear? In the meantime, Granati also having a little bit of a moment there. 1.8 seconds down. It's down to Massa to keep the dream alive for Big, heading into the final part, the identity, the second snake run. Soldier, Mada, Massa going a little bit on 2 wheels. No, not quite. He's looking to have slowed down dramatically just before the final corner. Can he try to pull up a last-ditch attack? The answer is a no. Soldier wins with a .978. Mada second, 1.5 tenths down, and it will be on a score of 4-1 that the Alliance take the win versus Big. And Kai, I think we can both say that we didn't really see that coming.
No, I think no one was seeing that coming, that Big loses 4-1, also losing on Valley. And I mean, that was just a great performance from Soldier and Muda on Twisted. So deserved victory there. Some maps, especially the first 2 maps, were very close, but then we had that 11-2 there as well. So this is just something that we have to keep our eyes on. So Alliance definitely are seed 1 or 2 in their group. So there you go. And also Big will be demoted to the lower bracket. They will play against the loser of the last match of this evening, which will be Gamers First versus KC.
Yeah, this is going to be an all-out French showdown to conclude the day, which is going to be something that a lot of people, including myself, are very much looking forward to, as we're going to be seeing the progression of the bracket. So you can see the first match, 4-0 for Solar Rio, somewhat expected victory on the side of the Carl and Pac duo, and then on the right-hand side, 4-1 for the Alliance. A very strong statement of intent as well on the side of the duo of Mada and Soldier, to show that they're also in it to win it and try to keep on the great string of performances that they had in Stage 2 of the Trackmania World Tour.
Yeah, but all hopes are not lost for Big. They can still theoretically win the World Championship. But most importantly, we're gonna see who will win the upper semi-final 2 of Group A. It will be ITB versus Wild coming up. So Stuft and Wizzy versus Afi and Mime, and I'm looking forward to this match. It could be also a 4-0 or a 4-3 for all of those teams. You know, it will be a close match, and I do think, so that was my prediction, that ITB is also winning the World Championship this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fair. I think there's a lot of potential contenders for a win here on this particular World Championship here, and I'm looking forward to see Wizzy on action, because Granati is not the only wheelman here in Montpellier. This is going to be very interesting to see as we get a little bit of a gaze again at the Trackmania World Championship Cup that will be current to the winning team, of course, at the end of Sunday's action.
Yeah, so, but before the match, we're gonna go into a small break. So we're gonna see you in 10 minutes. We will be right back.